Hi everyone, welcome back to the real one. It's your host Gabby, and like always, I hope that you're doing well and that you're blessed. Hey, I want to talk about intentionality. 2026 has started, and after my episode, hopefully you're not too discouraged and you feel like I'm doing everything wrong now. It was just generally to encourage you to prepare to create a strong foundation. I don't know if it's the age I'm in. I keep saying this because I'm like, I didn't think like that before. But I feel like now I need to be intentional with everything. And I was listening to this sermon, and this pastor was saying, time is life. Let me say again, time is life. So, when you're in your mind, you're thinking, I want to do this in life. When I grow up, I want to do this. Firstly, you're growing up. What you're doing is your life. So what you're doing, so when they use the sentence like, show me what you're doing and I'll tell you who you want to become or what you want to do. I used to think it was a bit exaggerated, like, all my days. But it's so true. You want to be educated, but you're not educating yourself. You want to become an important politician, but you're not preparing for it. And I think if you learn to understand how intentional you need to be with life, that can be life changing. And I think this year I want to do that. I just want to reflect on how important it is to be intentional with every single thing, and especially in the stage in life that you're in. I think because now you're more in control of your life, you need to be intentional. But I also think there are so many distractions right now. Social media is actually taking our time. I really think that we live in a society where we're in warfare. Like, the world is trying to take our time. And it's really important that we take hold and we take power back. I think a lot of times when we're young, especially, we're like, I want to do this, I want to have power, I want to do this. You need to realize that power is actually in your hands right now, and that you wasting your time, you're giving power to the world, you're giving power to the people that are controlling us. All of these conspiracy theories, right? I feel like why we're scared a lot of times is because we're scared that the government is going to have control over us, right? You're spending most of your time on social media or doing things that are not important. You're basically giving time to the government or to the people controlling social media more than you think. I think it's very important that we understand that when you're talking about empowerment, it's not just about, I wanna, be the best version of myself, like me, but it's about understanding what is it that is taking my power? What is it that is occupying my mind? What is it that is occupying my time? What is it that is occupying my space? And this year, there is no excuse why you should be allowing things to occupy your space and your time. So the first thing that I would advise you to do in order to be intentional is understanding what is taking your power, what is making you less empowered. And if it's social media, if it's your friends, if are things that are not empowering that you're doing is causing you to have less power, you need to remove them. And then authenticity and intentionality. Why is that important? You can't be who you were called to do, and if you're not intentional in being your authentic self. Being authentic self is not about being real and rough. I feel like there's a bit of confusion in that. I feel like people don't really know. I feel like people are like, I'm real, so I'm gonna tell you whatever I think. Real doesn't mean that you're not educated and that you don't have composure and that you're not able to be in an environment and adapt to the environment. That is not what authenticity is about. Authenticity is about you becoming who you're meant to become. So in order for you to be intentional, you need to understand, what is my purpose? What is it that I have come into this world to do? And how can I make sure that I achieve that? What are intentional steps that I can take to achieve that? You're probably wondering, what I'm talking about is very subjective. What I'm talking about is very, it's just, just a myth. It's just things in the air, right? But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to change your mindset. You might not agree with this, but one thing I've realized that the difference between, and coming from someone that was born in Italy, originally from Ghana and living in the UK, the difference between the different cultures that I've been exposed to is the mentality. Is the mentality. And a lot of times, especially, this is why I'm a strong believer in education and empowerment, is because even within the education systems, you see what type of power, what type of authority, and what type of empowerment the system is giving to the children. Thank God we have social media and people can see the different worlds and be empowered anyways and do it by themselves. But when I see a coach and I see another coach, I'm like, oh, I see why you're more empowered than another. I see why you feel like you can do it more than another person that lived in another country. Because I see how you were raised. I see that you were raised to believe in yourself. I see that you're in a culture that doesn't shame you for mistakes. But I realized that when I look at you, I realized that where you grew up, really, people really push you to be the best version of yourself. But when you're raised and you create an environment where you're not being authentic to yourself and to your purpose, but you're being told, oh, in order to become that, in order to be powerful, in order to be good at something, in order to be respected, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to look like someone else. That changes your mindset, it shifts your mindset, it makes you feel less than someone else. When you feel less than someone else, you're not authentic because you don't feel empowered in your authentic self. I genuinely think that the password to empowerment is understanding that your authentic self is so powerful. Imagine if a lion acted like a bear. Two powerful animals, but they can't be the same. They can't act the same because they have different features. This year, you need to be very intentional about understanding who you are, understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses, and understanding what environment do I work best in? Which environment can I achieve my best? It is so important. I was speaking this in the video as well. Growing up in Italy, because I had to feel like I had to be like everyone else, I felt like, oh, I wish I was like them so that I would be like them. I would be as confident as them. You don't need to be like anyone else in order to be confident. You need to be yourself. That's the issue. So my question for you is, who are you? The vision board that you're making right now, who is it for? Is it for who you think you need to be, or is it for yourself? And this is not to say that because of your weaknesses, you should say, no, I can't do that. No. For example, my weakness, I find it hard. I'm not a morning person, but and I'm learning to be. But I'm not going to start one day and just wake up at 5. I need to put things in place in order to learn how to become a morning person. But imagine if I woke up and I compared myself to someone who's a morning person. Oh, I can't be a morning person because look at that person. He just does it without any struggle. What am I doing? I am missing the beauty and I'm missing the vessel that I am. Oh, we gotta be intentional in knowing ourselves. You have to write down and say, who am I? If they ask you right now, who are you going to say that your sister, your daughter, your brother, what are you going to say? Or do you know what's your purpose? Do you know who you need to follow, not to follow? Do you know who you need to listen, not to listen? That is not important. More than important. More than important. More than important. A lot of times we feel like in order to break generational patterns and do new things, we need to be a new person. No, you need to understand who you are in order to make new things. If you don't understand yourself, it will be very hard for you. So that's why I say use this time where you're creating your foundation to be intentional about your time, to make sure that you're being empowered, to remind yourself about time is life. So what are you doing with your life? but also to know yourself. Be intentional about knowing your authentic self. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you speak the way you speak? Why are you so passionate about something? What is it that you want to change? Everything is possible. And I know the society is going to tell you, well, I don't think that is possible. I don't think, no. You love singing, you can be that singer. You love dancing, you can be that dancer. You love governments, you can be that politician that you want to become. Becoming, as I said before, is not cute, but it is worth it because it's the only way that you can achieve your full potential. It's the only way that you can break the patterns and the words of doubts that you have heard. A lot of times, I almost compromise in certain things because I was made to believe through words of doubts, through seeds of doubts, that it was impossible. Oh, you can't have that relationship. Oh, you can't do that in your career. That's not possible. That's too big. But guys, until someone sees it, it will never be possible. So if it's in your mind, it is possible. And believe it and trust that as God has given you that desire, it can happen. It is for a purpose. Don't let anyone, even the people closest to you, speak doubt into your ears. Because I'm telling you, this year we're not walking by fear, but with power. Power, love, and sound mind. Thank you so much for listening. And hopefully it wasn't overwhelming. And hope you enjoyed this episode. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Ciao, ciao.